Hey there, everybody. Today is May 24th, and we have a different kind of video today. It's been a little while since I've done one based on a computer screen, but this is something that I have not seen covered a lot in many of the gardening channels or nursery channels or chat groups or message boards that I participate in. And I thought it would be valuable for anyone who is looking to start a nursery or is looking to um, do more nursery related type things in their life. And so I made our spreadsheet a little bit nicer and a little bit more accessible. But a good friend of mine told me that, like many of my projects or videos or things that I do, this is a little bit much to kind of wrap your head around. So I thought that a video explanation might be really nice. So, welcome. This is our cost to produce plants worksheet. And we're going to run through and fill out some imaginary numbers so that you guys can see what this can do for you. So on the left here, you'll notice a whole number of columns. All of these blank spaces here are for entering data into. I've also put in a few drop-down menus so that you have the option. Instead of doing the math, I tried to fill in as much information for many of the most commonly selected for sizes of pots that many home nurseries or small-scale nurseries will use, as well as the types of quantity of substrate and other things. So we'll show you that. So for right now, we're just going to select, say, a quart pot size, okay? And in this field, you can enter the cost of your pots, including the tax. So if you order a stack of pots or an order of pots from, say, a nursery supply warehouse or a gardening supply warehouse, or for some reason you went to like your box store and bought them a la carte, don't do that. It's too expensive. But you could put that in here. If you were to, say, spend $100 on your pots, that will start to change things like your gross cost and eventually your cost per pot, your cost per plant, and a few of the other totals in here. So if you spent $100 but you got 1,000 pots, now you've got your cost per pot set up, and you have a baseline of what your expenses look like so far. Now, in the substrate quantity field, these are generally at the bottom here the kinds of bagged sizes of soil that you will commonly find at hardware stores or garden supply stores. So 50 quarts, a cubic foot, 1.5 cubic feet is generally the size of many potting soil bags that I see out on pallets in front of some of the stores. So these sets right here will be generally what you are looking at. But once you get into the larger compressed bales of substrate, like those from ProMix or others, you're going to be looking at 2.8 cubic feet or 7 cubic feet or up to cubic yards of size. And so if we were to select, say, the standard compressed bale of ProMix, we're going to say it's 7 cubic feet, and you can see that our cost per pot has changed. The number of pots possible based on the amount of substrate we have has changed, and several of the others have stayed pretty much the same. If we spent $40, $42 with tax, on that substrate, now we're starting to see our gross costs adjust, our per pot cost adjust, and other things going up. If you're ordering in seed, these could be, say, a seed packet or more like an order of seeds. So if you were to go to a local garden store and pick up, a set of burpee seeds or things like that, and it costs you $2.29, you could put that in here. If you spent $20 on 1,000 seeds, like some of the orders that we've placed with folks like F.W. Schumacher over in Massachusetts or other places, you could put that in here as well. Since we're assuming that this is one of our projects, we can go with we'll say it was $26 total for my set of 1,500 seeds. And now we're starting to see what this is going to start to look like. So once we have these first couple of fields filled out, we're going to see our costs per plant and how many plants we have possible given our amount of substrate, the size of the pot we've selected to grow our plants in, and the cost of the seed and how many seeds we have. You'll note that the number of possible plants is kind of pegged out. It's nowhere near my 1,500, but that is because the amount of substrate we have will only fill 233 and a third pots. Once we get into the months grown, this could be, say, in the case of our chokeberries, the Aronia melanocarpa, so far I've been growing them for 18 months. And that will have an impact on our labor costs down the line. Now, this next chunk here is a little bit more in the access and labor. So this is your associated costs for the grow itself, given the amount of time that you're going. So in your rent per month, you can enter in what it is that you pay to access the garden space or to access your public garden or your group if they have a space where you are allowed to grow if you are a member. If you are a homeowner or renting commercial space, this is the field where you would put your per month cost, whether it's your mortgage or the associated rent for a greenhouse space or wherever it is that you're growing. And then how many months out of the year you pay for that space. Now, if I wanted to say, not necessarily discuss what it is that our mortgage is, and I hope you guys can respect that, but let's put it out at, say, something generous. If I was looking to pay an imaginary 50% of the rent, at a dream, let's go with that. So I can select 12 months because I'm living here year-round, and we can pretend that the monthly mortgage is only $1,000, and that would be great. But you can see what our per month and our gross costs are here, and what the total cost for this grow is. In this field, you should put in what your time is worth. If you are doing this by yourself and it's kind of your side gig, what's the value of your spare time to you? I can't make this judgment for you. I'm not going to put it into a drop down because that's too much. So put in what you think your work time is worth on site. If we were going with a standard minimum wage, you could say 15, 20 is probably better, but this will drive up your costs based on how much time you are putting into management per day. Now, this field is in minutes because I am not great with spreadsheets, and numbers get kind of wibbly-wobbly when I start trying to regurgitate them. So put this in minutes. The math was easier for me, and I appreciate it. But if you're only spending an average of 20 minutes per day doing your weeding, your watering over the course of a week, you know, that's an okay number. You could put that in. Let's say it's 20 minutes a day for this block of 230 plants. That seems a little low, but you'll notice what our costs are looking like. Okay? Once you get into your costs for gallons and how many gallons of water you are doing, that's going to affect the numbers up in here. Your water per plant, your electricity per plant, and it will affect the gross costs as well as your minimum and actual plant prices later down the line. So if you're paying, 10 tenths, a tenth of a cent for a gallon of water, I'm going to put it would be 0.01, enter. And then how many gallons of water are you using per water? And so this could be measured by timing the amount of time it takes to fill a 5-gallon bucket. You could do this with a spigot measuring device that hooks up between your hose and your spigot at your house or your apartment or your water tank. This could be if you're using something like our watering station. You could do how many gallons of water you are putting into your base container before recapture, and then you can measure how much water is left at the end of it and get your gallons per per watering session there. So if I was to say use 10 gallons of water per watering session, and I'm watering 4 times per week, now I have, for the life of the grow of this particular plant, per plant it costs me about 12 cents. Likewise, you can do your electricity cost and how much electricity you use. If you have a smart meter for your home or your greenhouse, that's definitely an applicable thing. If you're like us and you have solar, you can just put in your monthly electricity cost into the electricity cost, and it will not require how much electricity you have used. You can just put in your flat rate and apply it there, and it will break it out. It will not give you false math. So, if my electricity with solar cost me $15 a month, that's all I have to put in, and I can go on. Now, this field here is if you have insurance that you are trying to pay for with your plants. What does that look like for you? What is the actual cost of being sure that you can attend a market stall? Our table at market costs us for a liability policy. Are you doing it out of your home, and does your homeowner's insurance require you to carry an additional rider on your policy? I would list that here. Or if you are looking for your venture to pay for all of your homeowner's renter's insurance, I would enter your costs here so that you can get a good understanding of what kinds of investment it will take for you to be able to recoup those costs with these plants. Okay, so if my insurance policy was $350 for the year, it is going to necessarily affect the amount of money that I will have to recoup with the plants and what I can think of as my cost drivers. If you have additional costs such as marketing or anything else that you are looking to cover with your sale of plants, this field is the one to do it in. This field for reinvestment is the amount of overhead that you'd like to get back based on the sale of your plants towards reinvesting into yourself and your company and your nursery and growing more plants. So a general rule of thumb is that you should be saving or reinvesting about a minimum of 10% of your gross into your business in order to spur year-over-year growth or to try new things. Invest in new equipment, invest in new plants, or in a different type of marketing. Maybe you're looking to get t-shirts made for yourself, and this is part of that long-term plan. Maybe you're looking to source the greenhouse plastics to replace in 10 years when yours is starting to go. Those are all things that I would place in this reinvestment percentage so that you can have a steady, healthy growth of your endeavors. Once you've got all of this filled out, all of these fields will be there for you to have the raw data and access that you want to have at your fingertips to make better and healthier decisions about how far into this you go, what kind of lifestyle you can lead, where things can be cut, what kind of ingenuity can you find to reduce the costs on the left so that you are finding a better balance here on the right. So the only field out here on the right that you can actually muck with is going to be the actual plant price. And this right here is what you decide to charge for your plants based on the information that is being provided to you by the spreadsheet. So if my minimum plant price at this particular cost is $44.64, I can look at what it would look like if I were to charge a bare minimum $45. And over the course of an entire 18-month growing season, with all of that labor, the profit total would be about $83. And that's a decision on whether or not that is an acceptable amount of return for your effort and time. If you were to change this to $50, what does it look like? This will help you to navigate and understand where you can drive those profits and the value for yourself as you do this. So I just want to reiterate, these numbers right here, all made up. It does not cost us money to get these pots in because we recycle them and clean them ourselves for much, much less. I do sometimes buy in substrates, but I try to get it, in like 3 to 5 yard quantities so that my price point per pot is lower. Rent and hourly wage and your management time per day can fluctuate based on the crop that you're growing. And so doing this and saving it as a spreadsheet per crop is probably not a bad idea, and it can help you to reference later on in the season when you go to compare what your performance was like over the growing season and over the sales period. So, yeah, I hope that you guys find this helpful. There will be a link to the blank copy of this that you can save to your own computers or your own spreadsheet programs that you like to use. There may be a little kerfuffling, but I did try to leave things like the math up in here so that you can see how the cells all work and communicate with each other. And if you're better on a computer than I am, if you're smarter with spreadsheets than I am, and it's probably not hard to do, and you have recommendations on how to make this better, I'm definitely all ears and would appreciate your insights. I will say, real quick, there is a second sheet. It's outside of the screen right now, but I'm going to click over to it so that you guys can see some of the back end. So this is the tables that are being referenced by the fields on the first screen, and if you find that the selections in the drop-down menus are not representative of the way that you are doing your business, come in here and change them, add stuff, take things out so that it's more suited to what you are doing. These pot sizes are just, the most common ones for home nurseries to grow. I don't see a lot of 25-gallon or 20-gallon pots being grown by small growers. It's kind of a niche field. So please feel free to edit these. It's important to me that these are useful to you. So just a quick little, you can update your ranges on the calculator on the first page by selecting your data up here and named ranges and updating the appropriate fields. If you do add any cells or rows, just make sure that you adapt what ranges those cells are pulling from. So yeah, this is our for other people cost to produce sheet. I hope you guys have many good uses of it, and I hope that this helps you to push your nursery and your endeavors in growing plants and understanding the amount of value that you provide by doing so. I hope this helps you to understand even greater just how special you are. So that's going to do it for us. Till next time. Thanks for watching. Happy planning.